Geek Out! Hey, welcome to another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
So we have another interview. We're after taking a week off to basically shit all over the founders during my.
Oh God, I keep forgetting. Stop reminding me.
My dad sent me a random text because as we know, my dad listens to the show. My dad sent me a random text. Man, you guys really hated the founder, and I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, we're not interviewing anybody associated with that film as far as we know. It's Gael Bertrand, French comic book artist and creator, that's here to talk about his graphic novel, A Land Called Tarot, which we loved very much.
Astounding masterwork.
It's very good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. In fact, here he is right now to talk about it. And joining us this week, we have Gael Bertrand, who's on the show to talk about his graphic novel, A Land Called Tarot. He pulls double duty on this one. He writes it, he draws it. It's really a feast for the eyes. It's out in comic shops now, so definitely go out and pick it up. Gael, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, what led to this? Because this is a very visually stunning book. I mean, there's all these immersive worlds. There's a frogman who's maybe my favorite character in the entire, just the frog mask and everything. But yeah, what led to creating this very kind of almost Miyazaki-esque world?
Well, it started a few years ago when, after being tired of working in video games, I wanted to give myself some time to work on a comic book project, which was my passion for, maybe my first passion as a kid. And so I started working on an idea, heroic fantasy type of world. And I got contacted by Brandon Graham pretty early on in the project when he saw some of the first pages on my DeviantArt account. And he was at the time setting up Image Island magazine with Emma Rios. And he was on the lookout for some projects and artists for the magazine. And he asked me if I wanted to be part of this adventure, and I was super thrilled about it because I was a big fan of both those guys for a long time. And many of the people that he had contacted, he gave me the list of the people who were going to work on it, and I was like, wow, it's like a dream project, and I was so excited. So I said, yeah, sure. And I didn't have like a clear idea of the story at that time, so I was like, yeah, I need to work on that thing and see like what I can do with this universe. And many hours of drawing later, there you have it. It's in your hands.
This is a far cry from your work on, say, like Hellblazer. What was it really? Because this is a much more, again, I'm getting like hints of Miyazaki. I'm getting hints of like Journey into the West. There's a lot of that sort of, at least in terms of the influences that I'm seeing. What was it that kind of, that really influenced you in crafting the story for Island?
Well, I think it's lots of influences. I grew up in France, where comic books was always highly regarded as an art form, and we would see things coming from America and from Japan. And in the middle of both, I was taking all those things in and enjoying Miyazaki's movies and books and Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira when I was a kid, and all those things. And when it was time to do my own thing, I thought I was going to try to mix all those influences together. You can see also a lot of Moebius in it, a lot of French comic books.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it was kind of like an attempt at making this world, this Taro land, as universal as possible.
I also feel like there's some like Akira Toriyama in there as well. Some like,
yes,
absolutely,
definitely.
Which
that was a big thing as a kid. Dragon Ball, the anime was airing in France in the middle of the 80s, like from the get-go, even before Dragon Ball Z. and both my brother and I, we would like watch it every week, and we were big fans.
Oh, I mean, Jake and I are aficionados of Krellin, so he's always been our favorite.
Yeah, so for some reason, he's like the only thing I know anything about on the show. I just think he's the funniest, best character of all time.
Yeah, it's funny. He's got a tough life, but he's a funny guy.
Oh, man.
So how important was it for you to make was the story always intended to be a kind of a silent story?
Yes. For different reasons. First, I wanted to, as an artist I wanted to have the art be the main thing. And it was, in a way, it was an exercise in world building. The land called Taro is kind of the main character of the book, and I didn't want the characters to be too developed. A lot of it comes from books that I used to read as a kid, like the silent book of Moebius, like Arzak, and another artist called Kaza, who did lots of silent books as well. And I always loved trying to come up with my own interpretations of what was going on and interact. I thought it was a way to interact more with the books than reading it.
Yeah, I mean the silent aspect of the book, when I started reading it, I thought maybe it would be just the first chapter, but I was so excited to see that the entire book was that, because I'm such a fan. Well, you do two things that we're all big fans of in storytelling, which of course is the silent storytelling. Because I grew up, and one of my favorite comic books of all time was the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes issue, which is all silent. That was the first time I ever came across a silent issue, and it's funny because I think I took longer to quote unquote read that issue than I have most issues, because you look at it more, you appreciate the artwork more, and all the movements and the layouts. At least I do, and then also the fact that, like Sam said early on, you do everything in this book. And it's we always talk about
cuts down the trees.
That's right.
To make the paper.
You cut down the tree to make the paper, basically. Because and actually the last couple artists and writers we had on here have all done work that that's all truly solo work. And so that's just amazing. But what was it like when you sat down for this? Was it more of did you look at it from kind of, because again, you don't have, you're not using words per se in the story, but did you come across it with the outline first, or did you come across it at the kind of illustration level first?
Well, a mix of both, because some of the double spread pages, they were conceived as illustrations, but the storytelling aspect was always really important to me. Like a guy I really, really respect is Frank Quietly.
Oh yeah.
And this guy is always making it super clear. Like any of his books, you could just read without the text and you would understand everything, as far as how the story is unfolding and what kind of action is taking place. And because it was my first book as a sole creator, I thought I was going to aim at a very, very streamlined and clear storytelling. So that was the attempt. I'm glad it worked for you, because it's kind of a bet, because lots of people are kind of confused by it,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, I think it's starting to come around a little bit more. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I know there was a couple years ago they had there was that Batman issue that was all silent with Damian that I remember was a big one.
Batman and Robin number 24.
Yeah. I like I said, just personally, I love the silent storytelling. I wish that would happen more in comics, and was glad to see you do that, because you tackled it really well, for sure.
Thank you.
Now with well, you were mentioning the land of Taro itself was very much kind of the character within the story. Yes. I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate on that. I mean, we do see the landscape and the people within change with every jump, every chapter. through the eyes of this kind of, again, very kind of journey into the West, kind of Son Goku, kind of almost also kind of shades of Legend of Zelda character. I was just wondering if you could kind of elaborate on the landscape kind of having a personality of its own.
Well, one of the things I wanted to explore with the book was concepts of mythology. And I thought that the cards of the tarot were varied enough and broad enough and led themselves to interpretation enough that they could be the base for a world, a whole world, a universe. And as I love world building, I thought that would be interesting to figure out how all those characters could interact and what kind of adventure could come out of it. And so the basic way to do a tarot reading is to draw 3 cards. One would represent the past, one the present, and one the future, and try to see how they connect with each other and what kind of interpretation can come out of that. And so that's kind of like the structure of the book, with 3 main chapters, one representing a different card, each representing a different card. And in the middle of that, you see like appearing every now and then some other characters that also take part into the adventure. And so that was the basic idea for it. And slowly it would build and this little guy who's, I never really mentioned it anywhere, but he's supposed to be the Knight of Swords in the family of the Swords. Yeah. But like I said, I didn't think it was so important to explain it, because I really wanted the reader to come up with their own interpretation and see what they wanted to see in it. As far as the action was clear enough, I thought then the interaction between the reader and the book would be interesting.
So, as kind of the Knight of Swords, is he more the visionary, or because if you reverse the knight, he's also the trickster, and there's definitely a mischievous element, especially when he's going into these like high society courts and everything. So, or is he meant to kind of capture both elements of the Knight of Swords?
Well, it's kind of like the intellectual aspect of seeing the world. Not with a broad vision, but more like a precise vision. And he's trying to figure out what's going on around him, but it's being challenged by all those other characters.
Mm. Now, you were mentioning this is the first book where you did everything, where you don't have the collaborators like you do on Hellblazer. What have you kind of, what is that kind of experience? How has that kind of informed your storytelling, or how have you kind of, looking back, how did you kind of look at this experience?
Well, it was tough to because there's lots of thinking going on and back and forth. Is this working better? And lots of sketches and I have to come up with my own feedbacks in a way, and it's pretty tough, but it's a great learning experience. It was I think rewarding at the end.
Now, Gael, something that we ask everybody that comes on the show: what are you currently geeking out over? What are you currently enjoying?
Well, I'm still in the comic book store every Wednesday, and I was last weekend I was at the Angoulême comic book festival, and I got some really nice books. So there's tons of things. I was very happy to meet up with Valentin Sèche, a French artist here, who lives in Angoulême, and I'm a big fan of his work. He puts out books through PO Publishing. One book he released last year is called The World. It's another silent book also that I think it's brilliant. And what else? Some French books, lots of French books I bought. And as far as comics are concerned, what have I been loving? Oh, what's the title of the latest Rick Reminder book? The Seven.
Oh, Seven to Eternity?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a blast. This book is amazing.
Mm. Had you been a big fan of Jerome Peña's work beforehand, like with X-Force
Yeah.
and everything?
Uh-huh. Yes. I remember his stuff on The Punisher that I thought was brilliant, and I was on board with his stuff since then.
Now, I'm trying to remember, is it the Musée de Pompidou that has the exhibit about the extensive comic book art exhibit with the Mobius and with, I want to say, like they've got some Brian Boland and that sort of thing? Because I remember the last time I was in France, I was at the Pompidou, and they had this huge section of the museum dedicated to it.
Well, I don't know if they have, if they still currently have this exhibition, but I should go check it out because it's their anniversary. Actually, tomorrow. They're celebrating 40 years of the creation of the museum, and it's free to get in. So I should check it out and go check it out.
There you
go.
Now, for those listening at home, I mean, we'll post this after the fact, but we're recording this on the 25th anniversary of Image Comics. I was so joyeux anniversaire. How do you say happy birthday? Joyeux anniversaire to them.
You got it. Thank you.
Vous en prie. But I was wondering if you had any memories of Image Comics, or how Image Comics may have informed your career before working on the Island magazine, or maybe seeing the art from guys like Todd McFarlane or Mark Silvestri or Rob Liefeld.
Well, to be completely honest with you, when I was reading comics around that time when those guys moved to Marvel, from Marvel to Image, I was not the biggest fan of those books. I thought they were very loud and not always like super anatomically correct, let's say.
That's a polite way. Yeah.
I know. It's kind of like going against the grain to say that nowadays because, I mean, obviously they were very important and very influential, and everybody loves them nowadays. But around that time, I was not really on board with the beginning of it. One guy that kind of like put me on board was Travis Charest. But that was when Wildstorm started with the Wildcats and stuff. But before that, that was not my favorite thing.
Fair enough. I am curious. You mentioned you had worked in video games before. What video games, or did you have a hand in, or what projects?
I worked for some mobile phone video games for a company called Gameloft. Mm-hmm. They had a studio in New York where I worked for 6 years, and we made some games based on some big licenses, like some Marvel licenses, some Disney licenses, or some cartoon licenses like Ice Age and that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, that's cool. But yeah, so you were saying that, but comic books was always kind of the end game.
Yes. My first passion, even before video games. I always wanted to eventually do some comic book.
Well, now with a Land Called Tarot out everywhere February 8th, which is today when this episode posts, the what do you have next on the horizon?
Well, I'm gonna be working on a new book, which I cannot say much about just now, soon. But it's something I'm really excited about. It's touching on a topic which is a little bit more serious than most. It's some political topic, and I'm really excited to start working on it, and I will let you guys know as soon as I can.
We'd love to have you back. Well, Gael, again, it's been a pleasure having you on, and A Land Called Tarot is out in comic book stores everywhere on Wednesday, February 8th. Gael, thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, and keep reading comics.
So again, that book's out now, in comic book shops everywhere. So definitely check that out. It's a good time. And of course, silent comics. There's just something about silent comics that are pretty cool.
The best.
And this is no exception to that rule.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys getting anything other than watching the Patriots snatch one back from the jaws of death?
That was
pretty
quite
legendary.
impressive.
Pretty legendary, man.
That pass.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the best. I mean, I'm a Giants fan, and still that's probably the most spectacular catch I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. I still do love. I mean, I like Tom Brady a lot. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I like Tom Brady a lot. This shuts the fucking door on anyone trying to say any differently about the greatest quarterback that's ever lived. Just because of the comeback, not even if he fucking won the game at the end of it, just to get to that point is astounding to me.
First overtime in Super Bowl history.
Yeah,
and biggest comeback, even if they hadn't won, just to like tie it up.
Before it was 10 points, now it's 25. But so I was rooting for Matt Ryan because I remember watching him in college, and he seems like a really good dude. But there's a part of me when he lost that I was just like, it's just Eli Manning. He's the soul. There's a picture
chosen one.
There's a soul picture floating around.
Chosen one.
Or a soul picture. There's a picture of him floating around on the beach that I used to post of him just kind of looking ridiculous, and it said, "This man has beaten Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl," which is pretty great.
This is like gut hanging out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean it's
a place where dreams come true.
It's one of the people are calling it the greatest Super Bowl of all time. If you're a Patriots fan, it certainly is. But the problem is, it's the tale of two halves, which is it's a great football game, but I think I would not put it as like the greatest Super Bowl of all time, because the greatest Super Bowls are ones that are like, it is a fist fight, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and unfortunately, it is not a fist fight. It is a shellacking beating after the wonderful Lady Gaga halftime show. It was incredible, because when the Patriots scored their second touchdown, and they were still a couple possessions away from tying it even, because then they missed the extra point, which is astounding to me. I was like, oh yeah, they're going to do this. They're going to do this because it's Timmy Tom. He's going to fucking ride in there like a bat out of hell. And like this, you think about it, like when you play like Madden football in your fucking pajamas in your basement covered in Cheeto dust, and you're on like pro mode, and you have to win a game, and you're like, oh boy, and nobody's watching you except yourself, and you're like sweating, and that's a football video game, and Tom Brady's doing it in real life on multiple times. The guy's a fucking beast, man. All props to Thomas. I mean, the whole team, but especially Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And people were like, is he going to retire afterwards? Like, fuck no. Do you know who Tom Brady is? This dude wants to win the two that he lost from Eli. I'm going to keep reminding everybody. But yeah, because that's right, world. For all you Patriots haters, if it wasn't for Eli, that motherfucker would have 7 Super Bowls. Jesus Christ. Now he's only got 5. Now he only has 5, the most ever. But
still waiting on that. The
he wants to do the green. Yeah.
Dude, he could, man. He fucking will.
I mean, he doesn't.
I think
show any signs of slowing down.
I'm calling it now. He's probably going to end with like 30 Super Bowls, I think, when it's all said and done.
Okay, he turns 40 this year.
Yeah, so he's going to end with 30. Okay. He's that good. I think he's going to have 30 Super Bowls.
35 more.
Yeah,
he's going to have 30 Super Bowls.
35 more. So he, oh god, he's 75.
Yeah, he'll end with 30. He'll end with 35. I think.
Yeah,
35 Super Bowls.
Or I guess it's 30 more. So yeah, he'd only be 70, but still.
Okay. Yeah, that's 5.
Yeah,
but Tom Brady at 70 is like Phillip Rivers now.
And you hate Phillip Rivers.
Fuck Phillip Rivers. Everything I've said in the show is a joke except that. I don't know why. I really don't hate him that much anymore.
But he knows what he did.
Yeah, he knows. What's funny, him and Eli swapped places because the Giants didn't draft Eli Manning. They drafted Phillip Rivers. But that has nothing to do with it, honestly. But the halftime show was pretty great. Did you guys like the halftime show?
I did. Can you do the weird spider motion that Lady Gaga did when she was descending from the heavens?
Oh,
kind of
which she's just there's a moment where like she's standing on what kind of looks like the top of the stadium.
Yeah.
And and she jumps, and my gut fell because I was like, she just killed herself for her art. Like that's her performance. She just killed herself on the fucking halftime show.
To be fair, she was standing on the top of the
yeah.
Super Bowl, or on top of the Houston
but
Dome.
But I mean, Jesus God. Oh, she was? Okay. I thought she was standing at like, some half thing.
All the way on the top.
That's good. It would have been better if she sang "I'm on the Edge of Glory" and then fucking jumped off.
Yeah.
Fucking, she made a mistake there, a huge mistake.
Just like Matt Ryan.
B-. No.
The funny thing is, like, after that, I was just like, man, Lady Gaga just did a better performance than the Atlanta Falcons, and the Atlanta Falcons got their like asses like stomped.
Yeah, it'd be like.
So I guess my statement was still accurate, but the context changed.
If anything, more accurate.
But I like that gif going around where she catches the pass at the end, and they're like, the Cleveland Browns are seriously thinking about drafting Lady Gaga as the first overall pick.
One of my favorite Twitter accounts that I follow is One Perfect Shot.
Oh, sure.
And somebody had posted that GIF of her jumping down as like Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah,
with like all like the proper like IMDb credits,
sure.
and they're like, yeah.
I enjoyed a GIF where it made it look like she was the one that jumped down instead of Shane McMahon during this past WrestleMania. Yeah, where he jumps off the top of the Hell in the Cell onto the commentary table. Mm-hmm. It's quite good.
Someone, Chad, our buddy Chad, posted a thing that was like, Lady Gaga had the second best glittery descending from a top of a thing, and it was Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels did the best.
Sweet chin music, baby.
You guys getting anything else?
Oh boy, what else? Oh, fuck my ass. Again, Tenacious D. My car's got all fucked up, and I got to fix it.
You haven't played around with the Wolverine cutout?
No, they're probably playing with it at the Toyota dealership right now. It's in the back seat. They're probably like, "What the fuck? Life size? This is only 5'3". Where's my 6'2" Wolverine?"
Fucking nerd got a Wolverine cutout in the
back
you think
seat. He knows the fucking X-Men? He doesn't know shit about the
first thing you see
X-Men.
when you
just a dick drawn on his face.
The first thing you see
dick
when you open the cardboard like thing that it's being wrapped in is just his Canadian adamantium coated penis.
Yeah, it just says "Ding dong, the witch is dead," and it just says "dong" is highlighted. And it says, "By the way, that's $2,400, you dickhead." Which it will be. But it needs to be done. Yeah. You got to drive a safe vehicle.
Yeah. At a certain point, I just think about selling my car for like scrap and getting, or do I wait until like it gets like totaled? Like it's like just
no, because that would mean almost death.
For the
but
past
then
10.
That's fine. I'm aware of the death scenario.
Well, it's not fine if you're dead, because then there's no scenario.
But then the car insurance.
Well, then he doesn't have to worry about
price.
paying.
That's true. You don't have to worry about shit because you're dead.
Yeah.
So joke's on you.
Verizon can't.
Joke's
come
on
after
you,
him.
insurance.
Yeah. As you do.
As you fucking do. What else, man?
You getting anything, Chris?
Or
just watch
why
the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Because that's really all I got.
Yeah.
I got something. I was watching Celebrity Mean Tweets. I love to rewatch those.
Sure.
They had this goes into the wrestling thing.
Yeah.
They had a thing that someone said about Jane Lynch that said Jane Lynch has bigger dick than Ultimate Warrior, which I thought was like the best thing of all time. Something along those lines. And she read it and she was just like, really? Those are funny.
I did finally I got season 3. I got a season pass for The Flash on Vudu.
Oh.
And so I've actually been watching season 3.
Whoa.
So I don't have to wait until Netflix gets it in like September.
Mm-hmm.
So
how's it going?
It's okay. I've
heard people say they're not like big on it right now.
It's not the best.
Yeah.
I think it's doing the timeline shit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fucking itself up with that.
It's also, I don't know, man. Like, there's things I like about it quite a bit. It's still very much the show I know and love. Mm-hmm. But Like there's another alternate universe Harrison Wells that's like the worst version of Harrison Wells.
I mean, yeah, there's a reason why there's like 2 episodes of it just sitting on my DVR going, "Hey Chris, why don't you watch us?" And I'm like, I think I'll go on the WWE network and watch old Royal Rumbles instead.
Yeah. I mean, which is to say I'm enjoying it, but it's like I'm a quarter of the way through the season so far. They're over halfway done with the season now. I'm about a quarter of the way through the season. And it's like easily the weakest season.
Yeah.
Unless it like ups the game as the season progresses, and maybe it does. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. It's not something that I've been doing, but I saw an announcement, speaking of Netflix and wrestling. Lucha Underground has finally made a deal with Netflix, so you'll be able to watch Lucha Underground on Netflix. You won't have to try to find someone that has the El Rey network, since apparently it's like the hardest channel in the world to get. Yeah. So like right around Valentine's Day, you get seasons 1 and 2. Unfortunately, not season 3, but they're not done filming it yet, so not sure when they'll get it.
Who knows? No one really knows.
Yeah. The Shadow knows.
He probably does. He probably does.
Maybe Robert Rodriguez too.
I'd go that far.
I mean, he's an executive producer.
Go That Far by Bret Michaels.
Ooh boy.
Yeah, it's not a great song, but you can get it on Rock Band. I knew a guy that would every Monday when they posted a new Rock Band song, like he would buy it regardless of if it was a band or song that he liked or not. He was just like, I need it. Jesus. I need it as part of my library. And then he probably doesn't play Rock Band anymore, so he probably wasted hundreds of dollars on Rock Band things. But you know what? I have like 40-some amiibo, so I can't really tell.
I have about 200 laser discs.
So no judgment here.
Oh, the amiibos.
I still like them.
Yeah.
I still like them. I haven't bought any in like 2 or 3 months. But I still have them.
Is that why you've been itching yourself like a crackhead?
Are they still
because I use all that extra money I get from not buying amiibo to buy crack.
Are they still like a thing? They still releasing new ones and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how well they sell.
They've got a whole new batch of like yarn Yoshis coming out because they have the new DS game.
Oh!
And by a whole new batch, I think like 1 or 2 new ones.
That's a gross misrepresentation of whole new batch.
I just like that.
Sorry that it's not Gremlins 2.
I like that I did like the like the huge reaction 1 or 2, and then the smaller like
I'm sure we can ask Josh for an official
count. Yeah. Yeah. So there you have it. Thanks again for Gael Bertrand for coming on the show this week. That was cool. And again, that book is great. It's available now. So A Land Called Tarot. Check it out.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, this has been another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake. Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Bana.
Fried chicken. This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual Catching Up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.